Picture this. You're 50,000 years ago, sitting by a fire, and the person you've been quietly, awkwardly into for the past several months just laughed at something someone else said. Not even that funny. And suddenly your chest is doing something weird, tight, hot, a little bit like you want to throw a rock, but also cry, but also casually mention that you're a great hunter. Congratulations, you've just invented jealousy. Or, more accurately, you've just experienced one of the oldest, most uncomfortable emotions a human being can feel. One that shows up in toddlers, in 90-year-olds, in every culture ever studied, and in exactly zero user manuals for how to deal with it. So, did ancient humans actually get jealous? Short answer, almost certainly yes. Long answer, it might be one of the most quietly important emotions in the entire story of how we became human. Let's start with the obvious question. Is jealousy even universal? Because if it were just a modern invention, a side effect of dating apps and situationships, that would be one thing. But researchers studying emotional expression across dozens of vastly different cultures, from industrialized cities to small isolated communities with almost no contact with the outside world, keep finding the same basic pattern. People get jealous, not identically, not for identical reasons, but the underlying feeling, the mix of anxiety, anger, and fear of losing someone or something valuable to a rival shows up everywhere. That kind of universality is usually a signal in psychology. When an emotion appears independently across every culture we've ever studied, it's rarely a coincidence. It's usually evolution. So what would jealousy have actually been for? Here's where it gets interesting, because jealousy probably wasn't originally about romance at all. Evolutionary psychologists argue it likely started as a resource protection system. In small, ancient groups, your survival depended entirely on relationships, allies who'd share food, a partner who'd help raise offspring, a social position that kept you fed and protected. Losing any of that to a rival wasn't just emotionally painful, it was potentially lethal. Jealousy, in that context, wasn't a character flaw. It was an alarm system, a very loud, very uncomfortable signal that said something you depend on for survival is at risk. Do something about it now. And this is where the story splits by sex in a way researchers have found surprisingly consistent across cultures. Evolutionary psychologists have proposed that ancestral men and women may have evolved slightly different jealousy triggers based on different reproductive risks. For men, historically, the bigger evolutionary threat was paternity uncertainty, the risk of investing years raising a child that wasn't biologically theirs. For women, the bigger threat was often resource and commitment loss, a partner redirecting time, protection, or resources toward someone else. Neither of these is a moral judgment on ancient people. It's just cold, evolutionary risk management dressed up as an emotion so intense it can ruin a perfectly good campfire. Here's the twist though. Jealousy isn't only about romantic partners, and it never was. Watch any group of toddlers for 5 minutes and you'll see it instantly. Sibling rivalry, fighting over attention, over toys, over who gets to sit closer to a parent. That version of jealousy almost certainly predates romantic jealousy by a long shot, because it's about something even more fundamental, competing for limited caregiving in a world where caregiving quite literally kept you alive. Ancient children absolutely felt this. If anything, in a small tribal group where every adult's attention was a finite, high-stakes resource, sibling and status jealousy may have been even more intense than what we experience today. So here's the uncomfortable part. Jealousy still feels awful thousands of generations later, because evolution never optimized it to feel good. It optimized it to be loud enough to make you act. The problem is, the world changed a lot faster than our internal alarm system did. Today, jealousy fires off over a liked photo or a work promotion, situations with basically zero connection to actual survival, but the ancient wiring doesn't know that. It just knows something feels threatened, and it screams accordingly. So the next time that hot, uncomfortable, slightly irrational feeling shows up, know this: you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone across history. You're running a several 100,000-year-old survival alarm, inherited in a straight, unbroken line from someone sitting by a fire, watching someone else laugh at the wrong moment, and feeling exactly what you're feeling right now.